Hey everyone. As you know, the first couple minutes, I just let everyone stream into the chat. If you're popping in, please feel free and say hi so I can know that you're here. I'm super excited to have Sparrow on today. This has been a stream that I've just been really waiting for and excited to talk about. I feel like you have such an amazing insight and you're so well spoken about so many things in the space. So I think this will be a fun chat that we have here today.
Well,
Sweet.
I forgot that you were talking about me. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Hey, Matt Kane. Matt Kane just popped into the chat. Welcome. Thanks for coming in on the live chat with us today.
Hi, Matt. It is, I have literally been looking forward to this since you suggested it. It
Sweet. That's awesome to hear. And actually, Matt, you're going to be on next week. That'll be a fun one as well. Frank Conway, looking forward to this. Sweet. I'm glad to hear that. And Frank, you're always amazing in the chat. Thank you for coming on. It's so funny. I would love to also hear after this and as we're streaming, if you guys prefer switching up the time zones. I know for me, normally I do them in the evening because it works best for me. But if you guys, even in the US, prefer during the day and everything like that, just let me know. I can try to mix them up next week. Oh yeah, Matt Kane said next week he'll trim his COVID beard. That's funny. Have you guys seen No Shot in some of the streams? He has like full
Yes.
on beard, but it looks great. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
sweet.
It's very hipsterish,
Yes, it is.
though.
Okay, perfect. Now that some people have come in here through, feel free and keep chatting on the side. I just want to get started with you and the chat here today. Nice sweater, by the way. I didn't realize hashtag crypto art.
Yeah, yeah.
Very good.
We got this from Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is one of the things he's doing to raise funds to do his crypto art documentary. So
Oh,
he's going to go out and interview crypto artists from all around the world.
okay, that's
And
very
this is
cool.
how he's raising funds.
That's very cool. Is it just the different sweatshirts or different things as well?
Sweatshirt, t-shirt, and I think a carrier bag
Sweet.
so
I'll have
far.
to check that out. No, that's a very good idea. Um, he should definitely, if he's planning on it, do some interviews in the virtual space too. That would be pretty cool. You know, going to
Uh,
all these different countries and then also going to all these different virtual worlds would be awesome.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
hey,
Because
Havana.
that's just,
What'd you say?
sorry,
Oh no,
that's
go ahead.
just as much a part of this community, right? Is
Yeah,
all of these different virtual spaces that we inhabit.
absolutely. Okay, so let's get started. I want to start a little bit briefly just about your background and kind of what led you here. But then I really want to get started to talk to you about the community, which you are so deeply rooted in and have kind of like spread your roots and words there in such a positive, amazing way. Which I'd love to see more of from other people and companies as well. But I'd love to talk about that as well. But first, I just want to hear a little bit. I read that actually in the Zima Red artist highlight, I forget what he calls it. Um, I read that you were a software engineer for 20 years, which I did not know that before. I could guess with some of the things that you're doing and the tech that you're bringing into your work, but I did not know that. So I'd love to. I read briefly about your transition and you were doing art on the side, but then you really had this pivotal moment of where you
Yeah,
decided art needed more of your time. So would you
yeah,
be open to chatting a little bit about that?
sure. Um, so the art became a focus. It was no longer just something that I did when I didn't have other things I needed to do, right? So it's a prioritization thing. I didn't quit the day job. I'm still a software engineer. I'm still employed full time. So I have two full time jobs at least now.
Yeah.
art and the software engineering. Um, but it really was just that realization that art makes a difference and art really matters. And it was something that I was and had always been passionate about and had never prioritized and never really pushed to see how far I could go, if that makes sense.
And do you think it was because of, I have the same feeling that I always loved art and had it on the side and it was a passion, but it was, for me, I didn't think I could make a living for it, and there were other things that I had to prioritize over that to make a living and like make a difference in my life. What is there a reason that you can point to for yourself that you didn't prioritize it before?
Probably, well, so it is making a living at it. But even now, I don't want it to make, I don't want it to pay my bills. Yeah. So that's something that I think is different to me, for me, um, from a lot of other people. A lot of other people go, I'm passionate about art and that's what, that's how I'm gonna live. And that's beautiful, yeah, but that's not right for me because I know how my mind works, and I know that if if I required my art to pay my bills, I would then start thinking about, as soon as I start making something, will that sell or
Mm-hmm.
not? And I don't want to have to worry about that. I want to make what I want to make.
Right.
Um, and I also don't want to have it in my mind, oh right, okay, so I made these three pieces and people really like this one but not those two, so I better do more of this third one and not those other two, and get stuck in um, reproducing the same or similar kinds of things, just because I know that they'll sell.
Mm-hmm.
I, to me, that's not my definition of artistic freedom.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. And you're saying that you don't want to lose that like authenticity and that you don't want the initial spark to come from the feeling of, I know this needs to sell. Like you want that initial spark to come from like that genuine spot. And I will say that I've spoken with some artists that have even mentioned who are doing really well in the space that but have even mentioned um, you know, there are different types of art I want to try out, but I'm nervous to try it out, or I don't know if my audience will be like, hey, what are you doing? So I think that's an interesting point.
Well, yeah, and that's it. That's the crux of it, just there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be afraid to try new things.
Right. Yeah.
I want to be able to do, oh, here's this cool new thing. Let's go try it and see. And maybe it's not going to be good. Who cares? Because it doesn't need to sell, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to make so much every week or every month or whatever, right? So it gives me a lot of freedom to just do what I want,
Yeah. And that
and
doesn't,
do it for the art
right. And
rather than the market.
and that doesn't have to mean that, you don't ever plan for your pieces to sell or anything like that. That's just not your priority. But the really interesting and exciting thing is that once you are experimenting with all of these sorts of things and people like you as an artist and like your work, they're willing, at least in my experience, I feel like the collectors are willing to follow you down that weird path. You know what I mean? Once they know that that is what you do, that's your genuine freedom and your creation and how you get inspired is by going down all of these different paths that you're exploring. And they're willing to follow you down those, or else we wouldn't get really amazing things like AI art or AR or all of these like amazing
Yeah.
innovations, programmable. Like we wouldn't have all of those things if we weren't willing to like test out random
Yes.
things that might not work, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. and hopefully, you know, it attracts the kind of people who want to go on that journey with
Mm-hmm.
someone rather than just, I don't know, play it safe, rather than just, hey, here's our thing style, even because I don't have a style.
Right. Yeah. And we also, a lot of people in the comments are just agreeing with you about making the own style of art that you want to make. Matt Kane said it's very relatable. And or Benji, I hope that's how you say your name, is agreeing with you as well. And do it for the fun, someone else said, which is great. I love what you're doing and kind of what I see you involving different technologies within your work. And then we also see you're in your studio behind you right now. I'm assuming this is your studio because you have beautiful paintings all up on the wall. So you're also doing a lot of different physical works. Can you talk about kind of what you have done with the physical and the tech and kind of the different things that you've been experimenting with and what inspires you in that realm?
Yeah, so well, my medium of choice, and the thing that I fell in love with after deciding that I was going to take art seriously, is encaustic wax.
Mm.
Um, and so I'm probably right in front of it. So this piece here is an encaustic wax piece. So that's just pigmented wax with some shellac. And I use my blowtorch to do a shellac burn. Um,
Do you
and
pigment your
that,
own waxes? I've never seen the process.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I get little things of wax that I mix myself, um, from raw beeswax,
Oh,
and
very
then
cool.
dammer gum. So I've got a little packet of dammer gum, and it's just a resin. So you can see
Yeah.
that's what hardens the wax and makes it cure so that it preserves it. Um, and then yeah, I make the cakes, and I mix the wax, mix the
Cool.
pigment with the wax, um, and you melt that, paint it, and yeah, the the whole mixing of the wax, mixing pigments, and using fire is just so much like alchemy that
Mm.
it's irresistible for me. It's unlike anything. I mean, oil painting was nice. Oil painting was interesting. You could do things with that that you couldn't do with acrylics. Um, but encaustic wax, just, there's the painting bit of it. There's also image transfer. So toner, um, is little encapsulated bits of pigment, basically. And so you can burnish the image, a photocopy, print it out,
Right.
um, onto the wax, and you end up with the image
Ah,
on the wax.
that's very
Um,
cool.
and you can see the coin. So this is a pirate coin. It's a Spanish, um, real.
Mm-hmm.
Embed things into the wax. You can carve into it. You can mold it. You know, there's so many different things
There's so many
that the
textural elements you can get with like the physical piece, especially with something like wax.
yes. I mean, the body is there. You can, layer it. You can make it smooth. You can, make it really bumpy and created. Um, you can do mosaics with it. You can, what else did I do? I used it to coat other figures. It's just so versatile. I don't think that I'll ever exhaust all of the things that you can do with it. So it was perfect for me, who likes to try new things. Yeah. But now here I can try new things all within one medium.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you can also combine other mediums within that medium, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And just layering and it's a unique process, especially with like how you said the photo transfer, and then you also still have the coin embedded, or you're making the coin stamp or whatever it is. So there's multiple things that your eye leads to, but then also like the textural elements is really unique, and something that also starting with physical work myself, it's something that um, digital work, it's hard to give that sense to other people because it is, it
Yeah.
is an image that you're seeing on your computer, even if it is three dimensional. Um, it it's hard to just, you know, to portray that in the right way that you can with physical pieces. The image transfer thing is pretty cool as well, that you can do that. Is that where
Amazing.
the name, like you're doing birds, are you very fond of birds? And I don't know if you go by Sparrow as another name, or if that is your given name.
So I'm fond of Crow, basically, or
Okay.
Crow is fond of me. Let's put it that way. It wasn't my choice, really. Crow sort of chose me and started popping up in lots and lots of pieces. Um, and so, yeah, a lot of my very first artworks, when I decided to really do painting, were crows. And it's interesting because it was this sort of process of, okay, I'm going to take painting seriously. And I set up this thing where I would paint every day, and I was painting, and I wasn't actually finishing any pieces because they just never felt finished. And I didn't know what was, what I was doing wrong, or what I needed to do. And one day my partner was here, we were painting, and I decided to do a cutout template, and I got a black spray can, got a spray can of black paint out, and I just took the paintings that I'd layered, um, put the template on, and spray painted a crow onto the painting, um, and voila, it was finished. It finally felt finished. Um,
That's a good
and
feeling. I
it
can,
was a bit of a revelation. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's very cool. And is that um the is the crow, because it's funny when you were showing some of your other images, Havo in the chat said those were the Kickstarter ones, right? I don't know
Yeah.
if Kickstarter, like, is he meaning starting off kind of your path in this journey, or
No,
Kickstarter
no. So I
meaning,
actually did a Kickstarter project.
oh, okay, I didn't know about that.
Yep. And that's actually how I then stumbled into the blockchain world.
Oh, perfect. I was gonna ask that anyways.
Yeah. Well, it does. It leads right in. So, um, fast forward then, I discovered encaustic wax, and I was really interested in all of the different things that you could do with it. Stumbled across the image transfer stuff. Um, and then I'd never heard of it before, but I got an email or something that talked about this Make 100 project. And so every January, Kickstarter not sponsor, but they promote makers who do 100 of something.
Okay.
Make 100. So I said, okay, I'll make 100 crows with the image transfer. And that didn't seem like it was enough for a Kickstarter project. It just didn't have, the hook to it. So there's a blockchain team at work, and I'd been chatting to one of the guys who was doing some of the proof of concepts for them. And I thought,
And
well,
sorry to cut you off for 1 second. I think I might have my visual. Can you guys hear us okay? Someone said, is everything black for everyone? And my visual might have just cut out. I think everyone
oops.
can hear us though. So let me.
Okay.
Audio's fine. Okay, you guys can hear us. Let me try to reconfigure the visual. Give me 1 quick second and then we'll keep going.
Sure.
Sorry about that. Technology is being weird for me today. 1 second. Thanks for bearing with me in the audience, guys, and thank you, Sparrow, as well. Let's see if we can get this fixed right up.
This is all definitely a black art. It's streaming from here to there.
No, I'm on the right capture. My capture just went black. Okay, I'm gonna remove the zoom really quick, and then, but I'm still gonna be streaming, so just stay on with me here. You will just stay here, and I'll just redo the zoom. So just give me 1 moment.
Okay.
Okay, that's never happened to me before. I'm sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to, I guess, have to send you another link.
That's okay.
But we're still streaming, so we'll just do this fast. I'll send you one right now in Discord. Yep. Hey, Sparrow.
Get my video back on. There. Is that fixed it?
Oh, yes. I think that fixed it. Okay. Let me know, guys, if you guys are all good in the chat. Okay, fixed. Sweet. Sorry about that. Thank you for bearing with me on both sides. Thank you, Sparrow, and thank you here in the audience. Very sorry about that. So yes, let's get back to this Kickstarter. And you felt that doing 100 maybe just wasn't enough, and then I think we cut out. So sorry about that, guys.
Well, I mean, so there were lots. I did a lot of research, which is one of the things that I do before I do anything. And there were lots of other projects that were 100 paintings or 100 whatevers, right? And there was no differentiating factor for me. So in order to sort of do something that was more me, after talking to this guy about blockchain, I thought, okay, well, let's see if we can make this into a bigger project. Rather than it being about 100 individual things, it can be a whole, in that, yes, I'm going to do 100 different pieces, but each one of those pieces is going to tie back somehow to the overall story. And it's you know how they banned wild birds to track them?
Mm. Yeah.
So the concept in my mind was similar to that, right? So all of the crows would get a tag
Right.
that tied it to a record on the blockchain. And so in a way, although they all went out to different places, they would still all somehow be linked together.
That's a very cool storyline that I would have never imagined if you didn't just mention it. But that is so true. They were, like you said, the birds were being tagged to be tracked, and you are able to do the same with your works. Even if the bird decides to migrate and not come back, to the same
Yeah,
location, you could still
yeah,
see the different wallet
yes,
holders. That's quite cool.
yes, exactly. Um, so, that's basically that was a permission blockchain, and not a public blockchain. So that has its own, you know, issues. What the solution is, what the best solution is, I really don't know. In some ways, a permission blockchain is easier to manage, but then, there's pros and cons. And so it led to me exploring things like codex, protocol, and a lot of different things. I then came upon the Kria blockchain, and that there's one DApp for that blockchain currently, and it's called Creary. And it's sort of like Behance, only on the blockchain,
Okay.
on a blockchain. And that's when I sort of realized that I needed to develop more of a visual language, my own visual language. Um, and that I wasn't going to be able to do that with encaustic wax. It just, I didn't have enough time in the day to heat up the wax, do some painting for 5 or 10 minutes even, and then tidy everything up. And that was before I had a studio. So I decided that in order to do a daily practice, I would do something on, digital,
Mm-hmm.
because I could do that in half an hour.
Right.
And best of all, there's no cleanup afterwards. um, and so I went and did something every day, posted it on Creary, and was actually just amazed at how quickly your skills improve when you're practicing something, day in and day out. So that was a very, very good lesson for me, because most of the time I was painting a few times a week, maybe, or only at weekends still, because that was the only time I had still. Even evenings occasionally, but again, with the setup, doing something and tearing down with wax, it takes just a long time. So time constraints were foremost in my mind.
Yeah, no, those are all good points, and it is such an interesting balance when you're working with digital and with physical items. And there's different collectors for both sides of those things. Sometimes they overlap, but often it's really different. So there's so many things that feed into that, to your daily life, to the audience's daily life. We did have a couple questions come in while you were chatting. Someone asked. Mr. Lee Mason asked, "Are there any crows left?"
All of these ones up here, yeah, yeah, there
All
are.
right. Well, there you go. You better slide into Sparrow's DMs. Um,
and
and
and they all have tags. However, that blockchain doesn't exist anymore, so there's a lesson there to be
Yeah.
learned.
You could also do, I mean, I guess I don't know if you've tracked the people that initially have them, but I guess you could give them other NFTs on Ethereum or something of that sort. Or at
Yeah.
least if they prove they have it, give them some sort of cert. Um, Havo asked, "Hey Sparrow, good to finally put a face to the name. I know you were born on this side of the pond and have been living in England for quite some time, but why do I hear a bit of Irish in the way you speak? They're wondering if you have
Mhm.
a twang of something else."
No, it's probably just because Ireland's between me and the US. I don't know.
You just take the
It's
aggregate of everyone's. That's funny.
it's really weird because even now, after 20 years, 21 years being here, um, people here immediately go, "Where are you from?" Yeah, you're not from here.
Yeah. Sorry, you froze up a little bit. I want to make sure you're still with me, Sparrow. Let me know if you can hear me. Can you guys in the chat see me okay? Maybe. Mm. Sparrow, you're frozen up for me if you can hear me. Let me just message her quick. The internet is being weird today. I don't know if. Oh, I think her internet might have just cut out. So let's see if she hops in a second, because I see it just switched to me. And then if not, um, we can pull her back in. But she has the link, so she should be able to hop in. And while we're waiting for her, um, for her response, feel free and ask some questions if any of you guys have questions for her once she comes back in. We're definitely going to get into. I hope her internet's okay, because we're going to get into some exciting topics once she comes back. Before the stream, we were talking about the whole trash art movement and the message behind everything there, and some interesting topics that I know some of you have personally asked about. Okay, she just messaged me. Yeah, things that you guys have personally DM'd me about, so I think it'll be a nice topic to chat about here. Okay, asking her for a password for Zoom. That's a little weird. Sorry there's so many technical difficulties today, guys. I don't know what's going on in the world. Hey, welcome, Xavier. Okay, so it looks like there is... Maybe I can just invite her one more time and that will fix it. You guys put up with a lot with me, so thanks. Okay, let's see if this works. Streaming is hard. Streaming's especially a lot harder when you are working. I'm streaming on a PC, and normally I'm only on Macs. And then also, like, when things go wrong, I'm like, great, this is live. I can't edit any of this out. And you just kind of have to fix it on the fly. So I just sent her a new link. Hopefully that works. And thank you guys for bearing with me. I see you're all still in here, so I really appreciate it. We should be back up in a second. She is online, so her internet is working. Thanks, Sir Benji. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, you're, Ogar, you're very, I'm sure you're super experienced in this. And I don't know why she's not hopping back in. I wonder if there's a bigger issue there. It might be her internet. I might just have to restart the Zoom. I'm just trying to wait for her to respond to let me know if her internet is still working. It would be nice. I wish you guys were here on like the Zoom call with me so we could just chat and shoot the shit while she comes back. But oh well. And while we are waiting for her, oh, she says it's working for her. It's just very slow. Oh, 1 second. I think she might be hopping in now. Hey, Sparrow. Yes, partial success. Uh, let's see. I wonder if it's your internet connection. If it helps to turn. I still can't hear you yet. If you can hear me, I can't hear you yet, Sparrow, and I can't see you yet. Um, Mr. Lee Mason, I want to know if she could recommend UK encaustic wax workshops. Ooh, okay, we'll ask her when she's back on. Oh, and you want to pick up a crow? Those crows are very cool. Let me just let her know she's in the Zoom call.